We are live captioning our meetings. Please look at the chat window of the WebEx meeting where you'll find a link. Please click on that link to open a web page for the live captioning. Board members Davis and Sullivan are joining us virtually today. Ms. Davis and Ms. Sullivan, I believe you are both on, correct?
I'm here.
Yes, me too.
Wonderful, thank you. We just need to make sure you have joined us properly. So with that, at this time, I will call to order the regular meeting of the Maricopa County Community College District Governing Board for October 28, 2025. For the record, I will call a roll call of the board members, although you can see that all of us are here or in the air somewhere. So I will start with Ms. Smith, Pamela Smith.
Present.
Ms. Butler.
Present.
Ms. Davis.
Present.
Dr. Narini.
Present.
Ms. Jacqueline Smith.
Present.
Ms. Sullivan.
Present.
Dr. Thor.
Present.
And myself. And let the record reflect that all board members are present, including our student advisory representative. Let's move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm delighted to tell you that we have some students from Glendale Community College to join us in leading the pledge. Okay. Perfect. You'll come forward. Right there is great. The mic is probably the best way to.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm being told you can't hear me, which my family would say is shocking. So before we introduce you, I want to just announce we have one substitution, Mr. Mark Demp for Jess Evans, the CIO. And now we're going to move on to our student reports, the student life reports from Glendale College, Glendale Community College Student Life. And I believe we have Ryan Howard, correct? And Sophia Muhammad, correct?
Sophia.
Sophia, thank you.
You're welcome. Good evening, President Bittersmith, esteemed members of the Governing Board, Chancellor Gonzalez, GCC President Dr. Hernandez, valued members of the SGEC, and all our distinguished guests. It's an honor to be here representing the students of Glendale Community College. Again, my name is Sophia Muhammad, though most call me on campus by Mina. I currently serve as the ASG President, and I am also a peer success coach here on campus as well, supporting students as they navigate college, connect to resources, and reach their goal. Before that, I served as the president of the Black Student Union Club, so you could say leadership has been my major and community is my minor. Joining me tonight is one incredible student leader, Ryan Howards, our newest ASG board member and proud representative of the Geology Club. So if this presentation rocks, you guys know why. Together, we represent how ASG connects across the students, connects across student leaderships, clubs, and engagements, helping every student find their place at GCC. Now, I'll pass it over to Ryan, who's going to share with you what makes GCC so special through the eyes of our students.
Thank you, Mina. Glendale Community College is the second largest Maricopa community college. It is home to thousands of students who balance their work, family, and school lives. ASG's goal is to help every student feel a part of something bigger than just the classroom. We want students to feel seen, supported, and connected. And if you've ever served in ASG, you know we get 2 semesters of organized chaos, good energy, and a chance to make a real impact on campus. Now let's look at students. That feedback means everything to us. It shows that our students care, they're paying attention, and want to be a part of what's happening. Speaking of connection, Mina's going to share how our clubs bring that sense of community back to life.
Next slide, please. So this semester, Student Life held the first farmers market and food distribution event on October 8th October 16th. It was a huge success. More than 100 volunteers from across the campus helped serve students, staff, and community members. Together, we supported 434 households and 1,743 people. And it wasn't just about the food, it was about community. Students asked for more resources, and we made it happen. Events like this showcase what's possible for us as ASG and GCC when we listen to our students. Next slide, please. One of the most powerful things about student life at GCC is that there's no single path to finding your own. Every student's journey looks different. For me, that place was BSU, the Black Student Union Club. I've always had a voice, but BSU gave me the space to grow into leadership. It gave me mentors who believed in me, challenged me, and uplift me to learn and how to lead others while also uplifting them. And I've seen BSU do the same thing for so many students, helping them feel seen, heard, and confident enough to take those next steps. Because student engagement isn't just about showing up, but it's also showing up as yourself and being able to be welcomed as who you are. And that looks different for everybody. Just act trying.
And you're right. Finding your place doesn't really look the same for everyone. Ask some more amazing questions about the universe that we live in. As well as Amnesty International, where our students connect through human rights and advocacy. So whether it's about science, activism, or people who just get you, we have clubs that help our students stay engaged, grounded, and inspired. Because at the end of the day, that's what student organizations do. They help you discover what you care about and who you are as a person. Now, Mina's going to talk about how the Peer Success Program helps our students stay supported and engaged on campus.
Thank you, Ryan. Sorry, on the next slide. Thank you. One of our strongest ASG collaborations is with the Peer Success Program. Because sometimes success doesn't start with the textbook. It starts with someone who believes in you. Now, Ryan is going to share how we're going to keep that momentum going.
Thank you, Mina. As we move forward, ASG is focused on three main goals. We want to expand the student voice on campus by providing more surveys, feedback boards, and open forums for them to share their ideas. We also want to build partnerships between the clubs, the faculty, and the campus programs. We also want to be able to enhance the campus life with events that celebrate our diversity and connect the students with each other. With these goals in mind, as part of my tenure this year, I am going to act as a liaison between the clubs on campus to hopefully build some new events and spark some fundraising for the students. We're proud of what we've accomplished so far, and with some continued support from our leadership, we know we will continue turning student ideas into some real impact on campus. Now I'll give it back to Mina. I will give it back to Mina so that she can close us out.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. All right. So ASG may only serve 2 semesters, but we make those 2 semesters count. We're here for a good time and a lasting impact. Your support helps us turn ideas into actions and students into leaders. Thank you for believing in us and helping us continue to build a stronger, more connected community.
So, Mina, there may be questions from the board, but let me start. Tell us about your Ask Me buttons. I suspect there's a program involved with those. I'm asking you about the Ask Me buttons, yes.
Well, personally, I say I wear this Ask Me button because I know a lot about the resources on campus, and I want students to ask me. You know, there's sometimes you're walking around campus with that bewildered face, not knowing what to do or who to go to. It's the button right here. So I just want it to be a warming welcome for students to get some guidance and some resources. So that's what the Ask Me button is for on my shirt.
But I take it you have a series of other students who are volunteers that are serving the same service. Is that correct from student government?
Well, before ASG was non-existent. So now that me and Ryan are in office now, we are trying to create the change that we want to see. So we're here to, like we said, we're here for 2 semesters for a lasting impact and, a good time to make sure that the 2 semesters really count and that we're able to make a difference.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions from the board? Dr. Green?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. That was really good and thorough. So what as a board or administration can we do to help you better support your students?
Thank you for asking. And that's actually a really important question, especially in these very uncertain times where SNAP benefits have been withheld from over 40 million families around our nation. Me and Mina are planning to do a food drive on campus this month to increase our food pantry and get students involved with the local grocery stores to try to rebuild a little bit more sense of community and support within the campus.
Thank you. Yeah, with the things that are happening with the federal government and SNAP, it's really important to all of our pantries across the district. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, our student trustee.
Thank you, Sophia, and for this amazing presentation. But I do have a question with regards to only serving two semesters in ASG. Do you partner with your student senator that is on campus at Glendale Community College?
Yes, actually we do. We work directly with Matthew Sanders, who actually is the representative of the Maricopa Senators. So yes, we do work closely with him and look forward to connecting with him more to give him the tidbits of what students want to see the change of so he can bring it to the table and definitely advocate for them.
I think that's important just to make sure that your work that you're already solidifying is being passed along to the student senators to keep that momentum for the next.
Yeah,
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? If not, thank you both. We appreciate you being here and appreciated your answers.
Thank you. You guys have a good evening.
Thank you. All right. We're going to move on to the Faculty Executive Council report. Stacy Smith. She is.
President Bittersmith, members of the board, Chancellor Gonzalez, members of the Shared Governance Executive Council, and guests. My name is Stacy Smith. I'm the residential faculty at Paradise Valley and the Faculty Executive Council president. Today, I've invited Professor Lynn Clark, and she brought along some students, to share about the exciting happenings with the PVCC accounting program and the bachelor's degree that launched this fall. So I'm going to turn it over to them.
Welcome.
Thank you. President Bittersmith, members of the board, Dr. Gonzalez, members of the Shared Governance Executive Council, and guests. My name is Lynn Clark. I'm an accounting degree. The accounting bachelor's degree currently has 577 students enrolled with it as their major. 287 students are enrolled at Paradise Valley Community College, and 93 students are enrolled at and attending our sister colleges. Our degree is fully aligned with the CPA licensure and includes all courses necessary to be able to sit for the CPA exam, including the 36 credits of upper level accounting. The success of the bachelor's degree is built on the success of our accounting programs, and which includes our associate's degree and 2 certificates, and the success of our associates of business program. During our program review last year, and that was for the associates and certificates, we had a more than 300% increase in enrollment from 2021 to 2025. So we've had 51 students in the programs and 214 in 2025. Latino and the Hispanic sorry, I can't speak today, has the Latino students represent the largest ethnic group in the program by percentage, highlighting a steady increase from 19.2% in 2021 to 38.3% in 2025. And that reflects the program's ability to attract and support underrepresented minority students, particularly those from the Latino community. Now, what has led to our success? There's a couple things that I've identified as significant. Annual scheduling. All of our courses are scheduled to get students through their program as efficiently as possible. We make sure that they don't conflict, that they can arrange those courses easily. High flex course modality, providing flexibility so students can take things online, in person, to meet their needs, because our students have a lot of commitments and a lot of responsibilities. Course fees, inclusive access. Students have access to their course materials on day one. No need to wait for their book advance or their next payday. So that means they don't fall behind. The last and greatest contributor to our student success is supplemental instruction. Accounting 111 is the gateway course into all the accounting programs and our business programs. And we have supplemental instruction, which is embedded tutors. Having these dedicated tutors in each of the Accounting 111 classes provides dedicated support to our students so they can be successful and complete their program. When they're successful at the beginning and they learn the important study skills, they can go on to be successful in the next courses and complete their program with us. Thank you. And I'd like to now introduce Kim and give her a minute to talk about why she chose Paradise Valley for the bachelor's degree in accounting.
Hello, everyone. I'm really excited to be here and talk to you all. Now, whenever I get asked, why did you choose Paradise Valley? I always respond with, well, I chose it because it was the closest thing to me. But the real thing lies within, why did I stay? Paradise Valley has shown me nothing but support since I first stepped foot on campus. The advisors are amazing, the resources are amazing. And when I touched my first Accounting 111 class, I met then my supplemental instruction leader, who was Matthew at the time. And I just fell in love with the course. And I found myself enjoying accounting. I was good at it. I actually liked doing it. And eventually I got offered to now be a supplemental instruction leader. And it is one of the most rewarding jobs that I've ever had the privilege of doing. Seeing the aha moment in students when you're there helping them, or just being able to lend a listening ear when they want to tell you about their day, has been nothing but rewarding. In fact, we've done pretty well. Last semester and the semester before that, I believe that we came back with students did up to a whole letter grade better when they attended supplemental instruction. And what they learn in Accounting 111 is foundational to what they're going to be seeing the entire time they're there, bachelor's degree in accounting. So I am so happy that I get to partake in that. And even if I could go back and redo everything, I would still choose the same steps that I took to stay where I am now. Oh, thank you for letting me speak to you guys tonight.
Thank you.
So do you have any questions for Lynn?
Any questions? Jen, I can see you're very proud, as you should be. So thank you. Thank you very much. Let's move on then now to the adjunct faculty report. Kim? You have a tough act to follow here. You'll be great. You'll be great.
Good evening, everyone. President Bittersmith, governing board members, Chancellor Gonzalez, members of the Shared Governance Executive Council, and all of our guests tonight. I'm going to start out by saying that the Shared Governance Council for Teaching, Learning, and Classroom has finalized their template where the intake of requests and referrals and translation to the action items for Shared Governance Council and its task forces. What this means is the task force that I will be working on as a tri-chair for the adjunct onboarding and support now has guidance and a charge in terms of how we will move forward in this. We're excited to develop our team for this so we can properly address our charge. And we already have a lot of questions to ask our group and things to think about moving forward. So that was an exciting thing to be a part of as we move forward with this. I've also been working with Patricia Guillen from MCLI to review and meetings, because we want to make sure that we have a standardized process that can be most efficient in how we review them and make sure that we can give everybody the best direction on how to apply for this. So we've updated and clarified the steps for filling out the travel applications and explained what and why we have certain supporting documents that we need. So now the practice is simpler to understand and the review process can go more smoothly and we can process applications in a more timely manner. For a while, we had been dragged down with about, oh gosh, a 6 to 8 week time frame from when they needed to submit. And we've been trying to cut that down so we can be more efficient with that and get everybody out on their wonderful adventures with their travel and professional growth opportunities. At our recent adjunct faculty group board meeting on October 11th, we continued our discussion of equitable opportunities to participate in shared governance at each college. We're currently conducting a survey among our reps to identify how and where they can participate on committees and college leadership teams. And we're going to use that to determine if our reps, or where and how our reps have a voice at the table in equitable ways at each college. Also, over the last year, we have been working on research to find out where our available workspaces for adjunct faculty are. As we don't have offices, we are always looking for a place to work out of if we have to have a meeting, have a committee situation, or also meet with a student, which can be a FERPA issue. And we want to make sure that we're providing sharing out that information to accessibility tools. Our reps have partnered with the CTLEE at PV, and they've set up a series of weekly office hours sessions where they're going to be available to help answer questions and help adjunct faculty use the tools so that all of their courses are compliant. Lastly, I hope everyone has a wonderful Halloween week and you get only treats and no tricks. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
All right.
Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Now, Jason and Tony, our staff representation update.
President Bittersmith, members of the board, chancellor, and members of the Shared Governance Executive Council, and guests. My name is Jason Rich. I'm here on behalf of the staff. Next slide, please.
So our campus tours continue. We have visited all but Glendale and Estrella Mountain. After a recent visit with MCC, we have identified areas of improvement with the executive team and are continuing to work to provide the staff the support they need as they go through their reorganization. We have 3 policies in the final stages prior to introducing them to the governing board: A4 employee standards, C8 notice and appeal of certain disciplinary measures, C10 workplace identifications, and that basically we're going to keep working on getting those to you guys.
We are currently in our self-nomination period for our next co-president that will replace my seat when my term ends. And so we'll be going through the cycle this month and announcing the new president-elect next month. And we've been working to try and grow and refine our monthly newsletter to really be the voice of staff to staff and expand the value of that. And now we're going to introduce our Glendale reps. Next slide, please.
Excuse me for just a second. I'm at that age where I'm kind of in between classes, right? Good evening, Governing Board. My name is Robert Zito, and I'm the exempt employee rep for Glendale Community College. And just wanted to go over some highlights of things that have been going on. First, when people ask what makes Glendale Community College shine, my answer is simple. It's our people. Our faculty, our staff, our students. Every day they remind me that GCC's strength isn't just what we teach, it's how we care. And Monica will get into that a bit deeper too, that concept of care. Innovation, let's start with a little pride. Our cybersecurity program is among the best in the nation, preparing students to defend digital frontiers most of us didn't even know existed a decade ago. And last spring, we celebrated something historic, GCC's first class of bachelor's degree graduates in elementary and special education. Those students are now teaching the next generation, carrying GCC's mission for them into classrooms across Arizona and the world. Connection, our spirit. Our spirit of connection is exactly what GCC celebrated last Thursday when we turned 60 years old. In true GCC fashion, more than 3,000 people came together to enjoy live music, student performances, delicious food, and handcrafted items from our campus market. It was a vibrant celebration of everything that makes us who we are, our employees, our students, and the community we serve. And the last piece of what makes GCC so special is care, as I mentioned earlier. Monica Angelucci is here to shine a spotlight on that critical segment.
Good evening. Fantastic job of saying a lot of what I'm going to say. So I've got a few statistics to back those up. So I want to talk about care. As GCC works to overcome the traditional challenges that community colleges face, lower rates of retention, university transfer, and degree completion, we're also seeing what deeply human, student-centered support can look like and why it matters. One of the leaders in this work is our Dean of Student Life, Dr. Genesis Toole, who founded both GCC Cares and our Peer Success Coaching Program. Some of the most revealing data came from the Hope Center 2023-2024 Student Basic Needs Survey, which included more than 74,000 community college students across 16 states. I think the numbers speak for themselves. 3 in 5 students experience food and housing insecurity, yet only 1 in 3 know what college resources exist to help them, which is, I think, a lot of what Genesis is trying to get the word out on. With 41% of community college students experiencing food insecurity, GCC Cares is emphasizing abundance, dignity, and community through their monthly distribution fair, featuring free food and resources in a farmer's market atmosphere. Their most recent success, which Mina told you, was 1,743 individuals served in over 434 households. 14% of community college students are homeless. To address this, GCC Cares recently hosted a housing resource event that drew strong community support. Nearly 50% of our students also face housing insecurity. 67% of them are parents. And November's project will connect those families with organizations offering houses and parenting resources. 57% of community college students who leave and later return to enroll cite mental health challenges as a key reason. And GCC Cares' new social worker, Stacy Marino, now provides triage, connecting students to additional vital services beyond basic needs. The Peer Success Coaching Program, thank you, Mina, pairs students with trained peers who understand the GCC journey. They spend time learning each student's story, goals, challenges, and life beyond the classroom. Then connect them to tutoring, technology, disability services, resources, scholarships, and community, such as student government. These efforts remind us that the most efficient path to graduation is often not what we perceive as efficiency. It begins with the most compassionate investment on the front end, our back end being graduation. When students feel seen, heard, and supported, they stay, they strive, and they finish strong. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody have questions?
Any questions? Thank you very much for the presentation. All right, we are now going to move on to the Chancellor's report. And Dr. Gonzalez, you have several segments, starting with the Foundation Semi-Annual Update. And I'm going to let you introduce the presenters unless you prefer that I do that.
Thank you, President Bittersmith, members of the Governing Board, members of SGEC, and guests that are with us this evening. You're correct, President Bittersmith. I've got 3 portions to my update today. The first one will be the Maricopa Foundation Semi-Annual Update. We have our Foundation Board Chair, Caroline Lynch, and Board Vice Chair, Lebron Villegas. And then we also have Interim CEO, Judy Sanchez, who will be giving us a brief presentation. Caroline?
Thank you, Chancellor Gonzalez. Good evening, President Bittersmith, Governing Board members. Thank you again, Chancellor, members of the Shared Governance Executive Council, and guests. My name is Caroline Lynch, and I'm thrilled to have the pleasure to serve as the board chair for the Maricopa Community Colleges Foundation. And we are here this evening to provide our biannual update on foundation activities. You will find a slide deck in your materials, and this can serve as a guide to our presentation. It has been a banner year for the foundation, and we have so much great news to share with you this evening. We're so excited to be here and share how we all, working together, impact our students and our colleges. I want to again specifically thank Chancellor Gonzalez, the provost, our college presidents, our resource development council, our district partners, and faculty for their collaboration in making this year such a success. Next slide, please. As you can see here is the mission of the foundation. And as you all know, our goal here is to make post-secondary education and certifications accessible and affordable for all students. The foundation impacts students across the Maricopa Community College District through scholarships, program support, emergency and basic needs, and we remove barriers that stand in the way of education. Our goal is to offer all of the wraparound services associated with obtaining a certificate or degree. The foundation manages over 1,200 funds, and we work with over $78 million in assets in both our endowed and restricted funds. Next slide, please. I'd like to take a moment to introduce our board of directors for the foundation. This is a group of community leaders who volunteer their time to serve on the board and to help guide its mission to support the students of the 10 community colleges. Our 22-member board of directors represents a diverse cross-section of business and community leaders whose insight, advocacy, and philanthropy are essential to advancing the foundation's mission and impact. You can see from the list the important role they play in leveraging workforce and industry partnerships. And I also want to thank governing board members Kelly Butler and Dr. Narini, as well as Presidents Kate Smith, Tiffany Hernandez, and Eric Lashinsky, who represent the district on the foundation board. Next slide, please. It's also my pleasure to take a moment to acknowledge the Resource Development Council, which represents the fundraising professionals across the colleges who work with the foundation to collaboratively raise money for the students and the programs across the district. The council is co-chaired by Neelam Patel, our Chief Development Officer for the foundation. Neelam, can you raise your hand? Thank you. and Travis Rutt, the Director of Development from Glendale Community College. Next slide, please. And of course, none of this would be possible without the amazing team that we have at the foundation, our staff, led by our interim president and CEO, Judy Sanchez, who's with us this evening. Thank you, Judy. The foundation's dedicated team works tirelessly behind the scenes to raise and distribute scholarships and emergency funds while securing vital revenue that advance student success and strengthens all 10 colleges across the district. I'd also like to note that we are thrilled to be welcoming a new president and CEO to the foundation, Ms. Julie Dunnigan, who will be officially joining the foundation on November 24th. She brings a tremendous depth of nonprofit and philanthropy experience, and we are so excited to welcome her and look forward to the opportunity for you to be able to meet her as well once she's on board. Next slide, please. I'd like to take a moment just to highlight a few of the major accomplishments of the foundation for the 24-25 fiscal year. We achieved significant milestones that advance student success across the district, including advancing our $20 million Empowered for Student Success campaign, securing large grants for skilled trades and advanced manufacturing scholarships, launching the first cohort of the Maricopa Promise program, and investing in a billboard project to expand revenue in a non-traditional manner. For the Empowered for Student Success campaign, this was a $20 million three-year campaign that launched last year in 2024 and has already raised $18 million to date. So we are well ahead of our three-year goal of $20 million. And I'd like to take a moment to just congratulate Judy and Neelam and our staff on that success. Thank you. This money will remove financial barriers for students and supports key funding priorities and to help prepare students for today's most in-demand careers. Our skilled trades and advanced manufacturing to date, just recently, $2 million is just the latest in investments that we have received from the Blackstone Foundation. And thanks to the incredible work of and others, with Promise program, further on Interstate 60. This project will generate 400,000. Hope that this will be the first of several opportunities to explore this type of revenue generation and funding for our scholarship program.
Today, we could move slides. Also proud student at Phoenix College, so happy to be. So excited. Next slide. Excited to report some of our financial results. One statistic that I think is really incredible is that of the 12 million in grants that we applied, received 10 million, 80% grants that we applied, which is unheard of. Just really incredible, percentage perspective. And I think Judy work, all the hard grants, you put in a lot of work to do a grant, you're never sure if you're going to receive it, get 80% plus. Next slide. Okay. Technical difficulties. There we go. Thank you. So I'd like to see this graph in to Judy and Neelam. 17, and surpasses even 20. Sure. All right. Thank you. Even better than 2021 and 2022, we had a one-time gift of 5 million plus. To be at 17 million is just really an incredible accomplishment. The next slide will actually show the growth of our foundation corpus, which thanks to continued donations in the markets has continued to grow over the years. Next slide when you have a second. Thank you. So yeah, some really incredible growth, starting from 55 million when I joined the board, not that I have anything to do with this, to 78 million in 2025, and that continues to grow as well too. Thanks to, I think, the good stewardship of the foundation and our continued vigilance around our investment policy and making sure that our investments are in the right place. So just a couple of information about some of the grants that we've received. Blackstone Foundation was over $1 million, Burton Family Foundation over $1 million, Diane and Bruce Holly Foundation $1 million, Arizona Community Foundation 800,000, Helios 2.2 million, TSMC at 30,000, and Arizona Tribal Communities at 225,000. So just some incredible community partnerships. I was at an event yesterday at Estrella Mountain. We received 300,000 from Microsoft as well too. So just some really transformational gifts. And I think we just have a great story to tell. I don't think they are gifts, but really investments in our community and in our students. And the folks in this room have done a good job of making sure that return on investment continues. So really proud of the work that the foundation continues to do. So without further ado, I do want to recognize Judy Sanchez, who has been our interim CEO during this transformational period. She continues to run the foundation in an extremely efficient and well-run manner. And it's just a real pleasure and honor to be able to work with her. So Judy.
He's being very humble because Avram is very instrumental in all of the financial decisions that the board has to make, and successfully led the RFP when we were looking for a new investment financial institution. So don't be humble. And to Caroline, I've so appreciated her leadership as well. President Bittersmith, members of the board, Chancellor, and members of the Shared Governance Council, I am so honored to have served as an interim president and CEO over the foundation these last several months. Have a fantastic foundation team that stepped up during a time of transition and several retirements, always willing to do the jobs of two people. So I appreciate their support. A moment, if you can advance the slides to the student photos. We are making an impact, as you heard from Abran, in the area of grants, which enhance college programs, scholarships, of course, that create opportunities, and then basic and emergency assistance that ease the financial burden of our students. These are just some of the students that we've supported or that have been a spokesperson for the work that we relationship building and fundraising at the foundation. Next slide. And we have our representative right here with us, right? Did you see your picture? Great. Pamela Smith, and you spoke at, you were the mission moment at one of our foundation board meetings. So thank you for that. I've often heard the chancellor say we're in the life-changing business. And I love that because we certainly are. This chart shows the impact that we're making in the area of scholarships. If you look at the far right column, you'll see that in FY25, our total applications dipped slightly, but it is still a big number, and it has more than doubled over the last 4 years. The next row shows you the total number of awards, which has increased, allowing us to give 1,500 more scholarship awards than the year before. Another increase was in the total number of students receiving a scholarship. That increased by 44.5% over the year before, again, giving us the opportunity to award 1,200 more students with a scholarship. Now, and although the total students awarded has decreased over the last 5 years, the amount that is being requested and the average amount awarded has increased significantly. And I think we're going to see an increase in the total students awarded this year because of everything that we are dealing with in the community right now and across the country. But you all know, right? We all know that groceries have gone up. Rents are higher than they've ever been. The cost of daycare and transportation. You've heard it from the Glendale Community College students tonight. And we're going to call on you, Dr. Hernandez, and your students to provide us with some of those statistics so we can share those at the Heroes of Education event and hopefully drive up some additional donations. So all of these factors have taken a toll on our students and their families. And you can see that in the average amount awarded, which has gone from in FY 2021 from $172 to this last year, $452 as the average award. That's a 162% increase. And although we dispersed a record 659,279, we anticipate that that number is just going to continue to grow. But at the foundation, we are committed to raising funds in this area because we know that removing barriers is the way we help students stay in college. Last slide. This last slide just identifies some of the areas that the foundation sees as an opportunity to keep our strong performance going and to build on the momentum of the last several years. And I've chosen just a few to highlight. Number one is the first bullet. We want to continue the momentum that we have built with our colleges and our district workforce partners around transformational grants. Those have a powerful impact on college programs, students, yes, but the businesses and the industries that are depending on us to provide a skilled and educated workforce. The second one is the last bullet under the momentum, and that is as we wind down the $20 million Empowered for Student Success campaign, we want to we will be in a great position to talk about what the next campaign should support, right? Because in the fundraising world, we like to say that if you're not in a campaign, then you're already planning for the next campaign. It just goes on and on. And the third bullet is under opportunities for growth. We want to expand, it's the first bullet, we want to expand the new fundraising model that was implemented a year ago with support from the college presidents and the chancellor, which would strengthen the partnership between the colleges and the foundation to drive both strategy and accountability for the fundraising and development activities that we do across the entire district. So in closing, and that's the last side, is we want to thank you for your time today, for your steadfast support of our mission, for your trust in us, and your shared commitment around this work that makes possible to impact the students that we do. And do you have any questions for yes?
Ms. Smith?
Thank you for your presentation. I have a few questions. On slide 10, you highlighted the great work that's been done this fiscal year related to grants submitted. Can you please share, I just want to confirm whether this number of grants submitted includes what the members of the Resource Development Council submit? Are they included in the total, or is this central? Is this just Maricopa Foundation?
No, it does include the work with the colleges. So anything that runs through the foundation that either requires a 501c3 or the colleges bring to our attention as an opportunity is included in this total.
Great. And does every college have a goal for the number of grants that they'll submit per year?
They do. We just shared that.
Yeah. Or $100,000 checks. I'm trying to get a sense of what that average gift size is from an individual.
I don't know it off the top of my head unless Neelam knows it. From individuals, which is different than our corporate giving, which is different. We have about 6 different categories of giving, and so that's individual. That might be another interesting side, is to see that breakdown. We usually include it in our annual report. So that would be an easy chart and statistic to share.
Great. Final question, and this is something I should already know, so this shame on me. For the 20 million goal for the scholarships that you're already almost achieving, which is fabulous. How are we spending that down? Well, is that sitting in an endowment and then there's a payout? Can you just remind me how that, you've achieved the goal, now we have it, now what?
Yeah, now what? There's actually 4 areas. So scholarships is just one of them. The other one is the Promise Program is a second
it's
bucket.
part of it.
It's part of it. There's 4 different. Workforce is another one, and then basic and emergency needs. So if the fund is already created, that money is going into those funds. For funds that have not yet been created, because we do have a minimum if it's going to be endowed or if it's restricted, then those monies are held in a holding account till the college then says, we want to move this now and create a fund. So the colleges have access to all of the funds that have been directed to their specific college. Then we have those funds that are in all, where a donor has said, I want this to
certainly the foundation board members. This is a very impressive report. On your very last slide, under the area opportunities for growth, the last bullet is impact of removing DEI preferences from scholarship funds. Could you explain to me how you see that as an opportunity for growth?
It really is about us having to pivot. I won't say that it was an easy pivot when we had to change funds that had a DEI preference and have those removed. We had some options for donors. They could remove and substitute criteria. They could put a pause on, so donors got to be a part of that decision. But why we still see it as an opportunity for growth is because we are having new discussions with donors around changing to first generation college student, about being program specific, right? That the fund would then support the Hug Clinic or would support the Student Resource Center at Glendale Community College, the scholarship and program support. So we're defining a broader picture of where donors could land because we did lose that. And so that's where we see the opportunity for growth.
Great. Other questions? Dr. Gonzalez, before I turn it back over to you, just is there anyone that would like to make a pitch or a presentation or a reminder about an upcoming event that's important?
Sorry. The only reason I got invited by Judy was to talk about our Heroes of Education event on
Just
November
want to make sure I
13th.
didn't miss something.
And I was way remiss. So we'd like to invite the board and faculty and anyone interested. November 13th, it's going to be an incredible event highlighting a lot of the achievements of our students. Heard Museum, we're very excited. So sorry, Judy.
No.
And thank you, President Bittersmith, for reminding me.
Absolutely. Any further questions? I'll turn it back to you, Dr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, President Bittersmith, and thank you to the foundation team over here for their presentation. Next up, I'd like to invite a few folks up to give a presentation to the board on Title II compliance. So I'm going to ask that Sandra Garcia, Patty Finkenstadt, and Larissa Train please come up and share with us what you know about Title II compliance. Thank you.
Save the fun stuff towards the end. So, hello, President Bittersmith, members of the governing board, and Chancellor Gonzalez. Thank you very much for having us here to present on digital accessibility rules issued by the Department of Justice. I am Sandra Garcia, the Senior Associate General Counsel, and I am one of 4 co-chairs on this project, along with Patty Finkenstadt, who's our Associate Chancellor for Associate Vice Chancellor for Faculty Affairs, Lindsay Wilson, our Chief Marketing and Communications Officer, Larissa Train, Director for Academic and Student Affairs. And we serve at the pleasure of our project sponsors, the Chief Operating Officer, Leanne Bond, the Provost, Dr. Armour, Chief Information Officer, Dr. Jess Evans, and General Counsel, Janice Falkenberg. Next slide, please. In April 2004, the Department of Justice issued its final rule updating the regulation for Title II of the American with Disabilities Act. The final rule essentially mandates that any services, programs, and activities that we offer via web content, including course materials, mobile apps, and third-party tools, must be accessible and ensure that people with disabilities can fully participate in their educational program. The regulations apply to our online learning platforms, course content, websites, and all applications and software that we use across the district. The DOJ has determined that the standard that they're utilizing is a Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG 2.1a and AA. And the district must be in conformance with the new rules by April 24, 2006. Next slide, please. So the current scope of the work really is a lot to get our arms around. And so we've sort of broken it up into 2 buckets, one being web content and the other being course materials. The district has convened a Maricopa Digital Accessibility Committee, or MDAC, to address web content and course materials. And the focus of this group is really to focus on anything that is viewable via a web browser. So a few examples of the information that we're looking at are public-facing websites, PDFs, documents, forms, videos, and mobile apps. Anything that can be found or accessed via any of our applications. Next slide, please. And the second part of the work that we are looking at is the course materials subgroup. So course materials subgroup works very closely with faculty and instructors to help them think of ways that they can provide their course content in a manner that's accessible to all students. And this includes looking at items like, in addition to PDFs, videos, and graphs, it's also campus, modules, course structures, assignments, exam projects, and any external learning tools that are utilized. Like the MDAC, this committee, it also identifies content, identifies remediation tools, and develops standards and provides access to training. Next slide, please. The roles and responsibilities of the district vary, and they're different than those of the college. The MDAC has been put in place to sort of outline and provide structure and consistency. So now that we understand the scope of the work before us, I just want to talk a little bit about how we came here and bring to your attention the structure for decision making. So given the size and scope of our district, our sponsors understand that this is a lot of work for our colleges. Imagine remediating all of our web content and course materials. And so for these reasons, our sponsors took the lead in developing a project approach that centers on standardization and resource assistance. So across the colleges, there has been a lot of work done on web accessibility and course accessibility. We're in a decent spot, but in terms of standardizing across the board, that's where they're looking to the district office to help them develop those standards. And one of the things that the district office really wanted to focus on, aside from developing the compliance guidelines, was inventorying the digital materials to assist in the identification and purchase of remediation tools. To conduct this heavy lift at the outset, the district has committed to purchasing remediation tools for the district for the first year's efforts to remove any barriers that the colleges may face as they move towards compliance. And this is a big goal because, as you can imagine, different colleges might be buying different products and they all have different standards. And if we can combine and pull those together and get that from the district office, we leverage our purchasing power and we also leverage standardization. So that's a really big deal. We're very proud of that. Next slide, please. The roles and responsibilities of the colleges. So the colleges are responsible for implementation after they have received the guidance from the district office, access to the tools, and training. This is akin to a cascading effect where we provide the framework and the colleges are there to implement the work. And to accomplish the work at the colleges each have convened a College Digital Accessibility Committee, or as we call them, CDACs. It is expected that the colleges will develop a detailed implementation plan within their colleges that aligns with the overall guidance given by the district. And there will be flexibility for the colleges to implement a plan that meets those requirements. Next slide, please. So what you have before you is the structure for decision-making and communication. As you can imagine, the size of the district is so large that it can often be a challenge to make decisions or communicate in a structured fashion. So to streamline both of these approaches, this is the process that we have outlined before you. So we'll start at the middle with the MDAC committee, or the Maricopa Digital Accessibility Committee. That's a team that develops the district standards and then its subgroup, the course materials. The committee works with the committee consists of multidisciplinary employees throughout the district that make recommendations that flow up to our shared governance committee for IE and compliance, where decisions are discussed, reviewed, and approved. And the SGC group informs the greater SGEC committee, which is our shared governance executive council. The decision-making also and communication flows downward, where we work with and through the colleges to communicate any changes in the standards or guidelines, and also work with and through our academic student affairs compliance committee to communicate and also to identify gaps or opportunities in this space. Next slide, please. So let's talk about what has been happening. This is, where we get into the nitty gritty. In spring of 2005, the district task force assessed the current state of compliance and identified gaps and developed a project framework. The assessment basically looked at our websites, tried to glean where we were at with accessibility, the number of PDFs that we have on our websites across the district, the types of tools that are utilized, and just looking at access controls as to who can develop and upload web content. In summer of 2005, inventory of the web and other applications were inventoried to inform the selection of remediation tools. And so the inventory is really important because without the inventory, it's hard to identify an appropriate proposal that's going to meet the scope of the work that is needed. The district selected the use of SiteImprove to scan web content. This tool flags sections and lets users know when they're not in compliance with the rules and how to go about remediating those issues. The district also selected and purchased Uja Panorama. This is a tool that scans course content in Canvas and also assists faculty in remediating. This semester, we have in our developing standards, training, and resources for the use of these tools. Additionally, we are also identifying other tools that are needed. Faculty have access to Uja and have begun remediation, and colleges and departments have access to SiteImprove and have begun remediation. We expect the additional purchase of remediation tools to assist with making PDFs, slides, spreadsheets, and other documents accessible. In spring 2006, remediation will continue and our first compliance assessment will occur pursuant to the project plan. So spring of 2006 is really going to be a focus and a target for our web content. In fall 2006 and through spring 2027, course material assessments will occur pursuant to the project plan and continuous improvement will take place. Essentially, continuous improvement will mean that we're continuing to look at any new emerging technologies and work from there. Next slide, please. So given the broad application of the rule, the project plan is dynamic and will be adjusted as new technologies emerge. While the rule has been issued, there has been limited guidance from the Department of Justice regarding exactly how they're going to interpret and or enforce. With that said, we know that this will impact our planning as soon as we receive additional guidance, if any at all. The district will identify necessary resources to ensure ongoing compliance and work with the colleges to identify long-term funding solutions. The district will also develop regular monitoring schedules to ensure alignment and compliance. The last thing we want to do is get our arms around this and sort of say, let's move on to the new rule. And 3 years later, we're back here again and having to go through this process and something that we. Well, I'm already in, so we're good.
So, Sandra.
And that is all. Do you have any questions?
So the technical team, as you guess, has been working very hard. I want to thank Jordan and his team for pinch hitting on some challenges. They've asked for a 5-minute break so they can fix whatever is happening here. So don't go away, but give us 5 minutes to get, and we'll come back to finish the rest of the presentation. That's right.
Sure.
I am told the technical challenges have been solved, and I think you can hear me. So if we could take our seats again, we will reconvene. And Sandra, thank you for your patience. We're good to go. Questions, Dr. Thor?
Are we good? I mean, this clearly is a overwhelming requirement to be met in a very short period of time. It also looks to me like it's lawsuits waiting to happen. So my question is that if there is a lawsuit or lawsuits stemming from this new requirement, who's financially responsible? Is it the faculty member, the college, the district? Where's the burden?
The burden is with the district. It would not be on individuals. And, or I know the colleges are separately accredited. And so typically the college and or district will share that burden.
That's
What,
good.
yeah. And what I would add in terms of the liability piece, yes, there's a lot of liability, just like there are with a lot of new regulations, and we're taking a proactive mitigation approach. And so, you know, it doesn't usually go from 0 to 100. If for some reason we're unable to remediate something, people have the ability to reach out directly to us, and we will individually work with them to make sure that they have the access that they need. And so
Okay.
there are other opportunities.
Okay, thank you. And then your presentation indicates that under roles and responsibilities, that each college is to assign responsibilities for areas to ensure initial and sustainable compliance, to include initial reviews and monitoring. So is each college developing their own compliance plan, or are they, you know, feeding up to a district plan that would have common monitoring?
They would feed up into the district plan. And so when we talk about each college ensuring sustainability, they might have different positions who may be responsible for monitoring a website, or how they have different individuals access and upload a website. And so we would give them flexibility as long as those individuals have the appropriate training. But in terms of the reports that we're pulling from the tools and the expectations, we are developing a common thread so that when we run assessments at the end of the year, we would know.
Okay. And my last question is, Kim, in her presentation, talked about the work that's being done with adjunct faculty at Paradise Valley. What's being done across all of the colleges to ensure that adjunct faculty understand the imperative of doing this work, and what kind of support are they getting?
Absolutely. I'll turn this over to my colleague.
Dr. Thor, President Bittersmith, thank you for that question. Every time we send out an email regarding our compliance efforts, we include all the adjunct faculty, and I do meet regularly with Kim Boge and the CTL directors, as well as the faculty developers, many of whom have direct contacts with their adjunct faculty. And I get a lot of emails from them when I send them out, and I respond to each and every one of them. Maybe not immediately, but I do make an effort to respond to all of them, and they know that they can reach out to me.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Other questions?
Other questions from the board? Seeing none, I want to thank all of you for the presentations and your patience for the interruption in the presentation. But I think we got the information, right?
Thank you so much.
Chancellor?
Thank you, Sandra, Patty, and Larissa. Appreciate your time up here today. Continuing on with my Chancellor's update. In keeping in spirit with the student group who was up here, just a few data points in addition to what they shared and what we heard from our employees on Glendale Community College. Glendale has experienced a meaningful enrollment growth this semester. They're up 8.1% compared to this time last year. And attempted credit hours have also increased by 9.1%, which says that our students are taking more credit hours than they have in the past. Some good news is that the course withdrawal rates are at a 10-year low, which is 14.8% in spring 2025 semester, returning to pre-pandemic levels. Some other highlights and points of interest and pride for Glendale Community College is that the Gaucho volleyball team continues to shine nationally, ranked 12th in NJCAA Division II with an 11-3 overall record and 5-1 in the conference. Multiple players have earned Player of the Week honors this season, highlighting the team's depth, skills, and commitment to excellence. So congratulations to the team. Construction of GCC's Innovation Lab is underway on the campus's northeast side with completion set for April 2026. The facility will be a cross-disciplinary hub for engineering technology, robotics, automation, AI, and fabrication featuring VR, AR classrooms, computer labs, and hands-on workshop spaces to enhance GCC's STEM and workforce programs. So that should be a really exciting center to see when you guys are completed. We're looking forward to the ribbon cutting there. SRP donated funds to support GCC's Bachelor of Arts in Elementary and Special Education. The gift builds on the success of GCC's first Bachelor of Arts in Elementary Ed cohort, whose graduates all secured teaching positions after the May 2025 commencement. So congratulations to all of the students. They are now teachers. Already looking into the spring semester for enrollment for the system in 13 weeks before the start of the semester. Headcount is up 6.4% from this time last year, and attempted credits are up 3.5% for this time from this time last year. As a legislative update, government relations team worked closely with the grants department to ensure TRIO funds were released and help to assess the loss of HSI funding. And you may have noticed that you've got bags in front of you here today. I don't know if you had an opportunity to look through those. Those are a gift from Vice Chancellor of Economic and Workforce Development, Valerie Jones, and her team, who attended, as well as other faculty, administrators, and staff throughout Maricopa, attended SEMICON that took place in Phoenix a couple of weeks ago. So inside of that bag, you'll find some of the goodies that they went to all of the tables and grabbed for you guys to have. Let's see here. So as y'all know, I know all of my board members know, but maybe not everyone here in the audience, but I was invited by Governor Hobbs to travel with a delegation for a trade and diplomacy mission to Mexico City last week, October 19th through the 22nd. We had an opportunity to be in meetings with high-level officials from the country of Mexico and states and local governments within Mexico to talk about advanced manufacturing, supply chain resiliency, trade and water security. There were representatives from, and we actually got to see the U.S. Embassy and spend some time in there too with the delegation of that embassy. The Secretariat of Foreign Affairs. We spent time with leadership and business industry associations in Mexico, with FAMIA, which is a Mexico Aerospace Federation, roundtable with the National Council of Manufacturing Industries and other business associations. We also District, Paulo Hidalgo, who is Assistant Vice President for Government and Community Engagement and board member of Arizona Mexico Commission and Arizona State University, and Chad Sampson, Executive Director of Arizona Board of Regents, and also Jose Luis, who is, I didn't have him on my list here, but he's as you all know, the president of NAU. He was also present. So a good representation of higher education with this delegation. It's a great learning experience and opportunity to see that Mexico City is an extremely large city, and very vibrant city. And I hope to be able to have an opportunity to go back and visit and just have fun. But we didn't get a lot of free time, but it was nice nevertheless. To conclude my presentation tonight here, we have a group of guests that are with us this evening. These are members of the Linda B. Rosenthal Mentor Program. I want to take a moment to congratulate them and to thank them for being a part of this program and for joining us this evening and being patient this entire time to finally be recognized tonight. The Mentor Program is Maricopa's longest running professional development initiative, having supported more than 750 employees over the past 26 years. It continues to play a vital role in fostering growth, connection, and leadership across colleges and the district. This year, 36 mentees are taking part in the program, representing all of our colleges and the district office. I commend each of them for their dedication to continuous learning and professional development. So please join me in congratulating them as I ask them to stand and be recognized. Mentees. I see at least two of our administrators that are responsible for this group, Dr. Kathy Hernandez and Dr. Heather Cruzy, who are year after year responsible for bringing this group and giving them a year-long experience. And if I'm missing anybody from your team, please forgive me, but I just see you two sitting here. So I want to thank you guys for the time and energy you put into this program too. President Bittersmith, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor, and thank you for introducing the Linda B. Rosenthal group. That was in the back end of my script, so we won't do it a second time unless you want to stand up again. We can do that. But I have no cards for citizen interim, so we're going to go on to the consent agenda. All the items on the sections of the agenda are consent matters unless they are removed from the consent agenda at this time. So do any board members or the chancellor wish to remove any items from the consent agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
So moved by Dr. Narini. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Butler. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? But I don't believe that Ms. Sullivan is currently on the line. So by a vote of 6 in the Student Advisory Board, the consent agenda is approved. The non-consent action items are the second read and adoption proposed revisions to Governing Board Policies 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4. Is there a motion to adopt the revisions to the board's Governing Board policies?
So move.
Moved by Dr. Thor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Dr. Narini. Board members, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Again, by our 6 and 1 missing, no opposed. Then the Student Advisory Board vote proposed revisions to the board's Governing Board policies listed above are adopted. We now move on to item, which is the approval of a resolution of the Maricopa Community College Governing Board District to approve the purchase and sale agreement for property located at 8530 through 8550 South Priest Drive, Tempe, Arizona, for $27 million for the relocation of district office operations. I have a item to make a motion, but I'm going to, since this is a $27 million acquisition, I think we have a brief presentation. Is that correct?
Good evening, President Bittersmith, members of the board, Chancellor Gonzalez, members of the Shared Governance Executive Council, and guests. I'll give just a moment to see if the presentation gets pulled up. It can give some background information on this. I know we're having some technical issues. So as many people in the room, including board members, know, we have been looking for some time for a new space for the district office, Emerald Point, and public safety headquarters spaces. I'll go through some material in the presentation about the rationale. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Jordan, or Elsa. I'll go through some materials here, but this has been a lengthy process. We have looked at a number of different sites. It is frankly a bit of a challenge with the square footage that we need to relocate all of our functions and for the price we're willing to pay. We have looked at several other buildings, but it is a challenge to find space that fits all of our needs. So I will briefly go over, and I forgot to introduce myself. I notice I often do that when I stand in front of you. I apologize for those who don't know me.
That's why.
Leanne Bone, Chief Operating Officer. I even made a note to myself here and then I forgot to do it. So we'll talk briefly about the district office properties, give an overview of some of our concerns, talk about the Priest Drive property, which is the property under consideration for purchase this evening, discuss the cost of ownership comparison, and then follow up with some considerations and conclusions. Next slide, please. All right, so on the last slide, you saw the district office building. This is an image of the Emerald Point building, if you're not familiar with it. The lion's share of the district office functions are housed in these two locations. We'll talk a little bit about public safety as well in a moment. The district office tower was purchased in 1990 for $6.5 million. In 2007, Emerald Point was purchased for just over $8 million. So we've had those properties, particularly the district office tower, for quite some time. In 2018, I think most people who were here at the time will remember there was a significant assessment done of all district properties to come up with a comprehensive list of deferred maintenance needs. So that found a number of shortcomings in the district office building in particular, largely related to the HVAC and, system and plumbing issues. We continue to have issues throughout, particularly the summer months, whether it rains or it's really hot. There is often work being done in that building, making it a little bit difficult to work in at times. For those who work in that building, there's limited open space. It's office heavy, it is conference room heavy. The common areas are quite dated. That's not obviously a reason for moving out of a property, but it does factor into the cost of ownership for that building over time. Next slide, please. So quickly, the public safety headquarters, which is probably a space very few people in this room have been in. It is just north of where we are right now on Park Lane. So you can see in the images there and the kind of the front of it, which is appropriately nondescript. The dispatch space, and there's an image on the following slide, is extremely undersized and really not sufficient for its operation. Storage is inadequate. And the site also contains our emergency operations center. It is not an ideal location for an EOC that should be located really with the district office functions itself. Next slide, please. And there are just a couple images of the inside to the left that's showing the lack of storage. That is not a staged photo. That is really what happens over there. To the right is the dispatch center that is a 24/7 function on a very small area for multiple people to work in together. Next slide, please. So to go over the South Priest Drive property, it is just under 189,000 square feet of Class A office space. Just to give a sense of where this is, I-10 and Warner is the closest kind of major crossroads near the IKEA, if you're an IKEA fan. The buildings, there are two separate buildings with a courtyard in between. They were built in 2001 and 2003, significantly upgraded both those buildings in 2019. So right before the pandemic, there were upgrades, and then the Target Financial was in this building before, up until August, at least owned the space, but really didn't relocate after the pandemic. So largely unutilized since those renovations. Over 900 parking spaces. There's currently no tenants, and this may not sound like a very important point, but as we are looking for really large space to relocate, oftentimes that space that's on the market has tenants in it, and often long-term tenants that come along with the purchase of that property. That's really attractive to an investor. It's less attractive to people who actually need to occupy the space. So this was a real win that there were no tenants there. It would allow us to put all of our district office functions under, it's still two roofs with a courtyard in between, but really in one central location. And there is sufficient space for governing board, foundation board, and other large meetings, so we could really equip it appropriately for all of our outward facing functions as well. There's a linear layout that is very attractive to us. And then it has necessary infrastructure. So things like loading docks and generators, things a lot of people may not think of in a large commercial space, is something that we very much need. There's a data center too. So we weren't necessarily looking for a data center. It does come with a data center that the IT folks are pretty excited about. So that's a great bonus as well. That's the exterior of one of the two buildings. And then on to the next slide, we have a handful of other images as well. So this is an aerial shot. You can see to the building to the left, the rectangular building is the covered parking. And then to the right, it looks from this kind of like 4 buildings, but it's actually 2 slightly curved buildings with that courtyard in between. That's the property that we're talking about. Next slide, please. Another front entrance picture to the left and to the right. That's an image leading up to the courtyard. Next slide, please. So to the left is the front entryway. One of the attractive features of this space is that it does offer, I think, some additional opportunities for security. If there's an interest in that, those are gated areas that are badge controlled. And then you can see smaller images to the right of some of the more public spaces. There's a lot of space for public gatherings, which as we walked different groups through this, I think seemed very attractive to them. So next slide, please. And then just an image of some of the workspaces to the left. Those cubes are essentially brand new. So a lot of cube space in this building, but also some meeting space in those areas for teams to meet. Next slide, please. So I mentioned earlier the cost of ownership, which is what we look at when we're looking at purchasing a new building. And so what we look at here is the South Priest Drive property. Yes, the purchase price of $27 million, which is about halfway down that list. But we also look at deferred maintenance. These are not new buildings. We can't afford a new build. We did look at it. That is without outside of our price range. So current deferred maintenance on those buildings is estimated to be $5 million. That's over the course of some time. That's not immediate. We don't have anything in here for tenant improvements yet because the buildings were recently renovated. So we don't think there's an immediate need for extreme TIs, but we'll find out more if we decide to move forward with this purchase. There are some future maintenance costs, the building purchase I mentioned, but also we have the sale of this building in the Emerald Point. That $8 million sale price for those would go to offset the cost of a new building. The $8 million sounds really low, and it is if you looked at appraised value for these two buildings. The sense of our broker is that we may be able to, it may be more appropriate to look at the value of the land we're sitting on. So that is probably a lowball estimate, but we thought that was a safe number to put in. And then some move management expenses for an all-in estimated cost of just under $27 million for the 188,000 square feet. Looking at the district office sites that we're in right now, they are owned buildings, but we have current deferred maintenance of over $4 million. The HVAC upgrades in the district office space, which would require the entire system to be removed. If we did it the right way, it would probably be shutting down that building for 18 months to do it most efficiently and effectively. That cost right now is over $10 million. That cost may be dated. I think we may have actually costed this out before tariffs. In addition to that, to turn that space into more functional space for our teams, we're estimating TI costs of about $14 million. And then future maintenance costs of, I think it's 26. It's like an eye test for me right now. So sorry about that. But an all-in cost of ownership cost for those two buildings of $55 million. So when comparing the two, that's really what we look at. Thank you so much. Yes, $26 million. So 168,000 square feet, but $55 million for that. So that's really what we look at, is what would it take to turn our current buildings into space that we can stay in for an extended period. And then moving on to the next slide, please. All right, so just in conclusion, the property that we're talking about, the Priest Drive property, is within our allocated budget. So this is one of 14 capital projects that was funded through the Capital and Technology Improvement budget this last budget cycle. So a total of $134 million in capital programs or capital plans were approved in the budget, and this is one of them. It's in an acceptable location. It's perhaps not a perfect location, but certainly acceptable with freeway access, still relatively central to the valley. It's sized appropriately. It is larger than what we have now, but it is not too large to the point where we will be swimming in excess space, and there are no lease tenants. There are some noteworthy cost avoidances as well. So the furniture, it comes along with the furniture, and the data center equipment we think is very valuable. And then it does allow for all configurations of in-person work preferences moving forward. We have been somewhat limited in the district office in terms of the number of people we can have in certain spaces in that building because of the air circulation. So this obviously would alleviate that problem. And then next slide. I think that is the last of them. Yes, and I would just like to thank, if I could, David Martin is here. David has been absolutely just the energy behind this effort. He has worked tirelessly, visited more buildings than he probably can count, and I am so thankful for him and his expertise and his efforts. He is here to answer questions as well. I'd like to thank Janice and Jim for their help from the legal perspective. This has been a challenging purchase and sale agreement that took a lot of their efforts to put together, and Kim Gurneau as well, and then of course the Chancellor for his support in this process. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Leanne. Thank you to you as well for your efforts. Board members, are there questions? Ms. Davis, Ms. Sullivan, any questions?
No questions from me, President Bittersmith. Thank you.
Ms. Sullivan, are you still with us? I know she's been jumping back and forth, but seeing Chancellor, anything you want to add?
No, thank you, but it's been a very long process, something that we've been talking about for several years, including many of the options that were included and discussed here tonight related to the existing district office. And in the end, it's best determined that this would be our better, more efficient, and best route to go. So we appreciate the potential board support on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, hearing no further questions, is there a motion to approve the resolution of the Maricopa County Community College District Governing Board to approve the purchase and sale agreement, the property located 8530 to 8550 South Priest Avenue, Tempe, Arizona, in the amount of $27 million for relocation of district office operations?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Smith. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Davis from the air. That's great. Again, one more time. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? By unanimous vote of those present and the Student Advisory Board vote, the resolution is approved for the purchase and sale of our new district office. I think that probably deserves a round of applause, right? Okay, moving on to one more item. We have the consideration of the hearing officer's decision and motion to uphold, reject, or modify the hearing officer's recommendation to terminate employee Thomas Franz. Is there a motion to uphold, reject, or modify the hearing officer's recommendation to terminate Mr. Franz?
So moved.
The motion is
to uphold the
hearing officer's recommendation. Thank you, Dr. Narini. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Thor. Board members, any discussion? Not all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? By a vote then of all board members present and the Student Advisory Board, Mr. Franz is terminated according to the hearing officer's recommendation. Okay. First read and information items, employment and separations reports of August 16, 2025 to September 19, 2025 has been presented. Also, item number 2, proposed new and increases to college assessed course fees for the fiscal years 2025-2026, which includes the spring 26 and fall 2026. Board members, are there any questions on either one of those items?
I have a question.
Dr. Narini?
So how are these different than the ones that are in the consent agenda?
Chancellor, who wants to answer that?
Could you please repeat the question, Dr. Narini?
These ones that are the fees that are being considered for the first read, how are those different, or How are they different than the ones that are in the consent agenda?
Let me ask Dr. Armour if she's able to provide a response. And Dr. Warner is also here who can also assist. Thank you. Make sure the mic's on.
President Bittersmith, Dr. Narini. It's actually a simple answer. So you'll probably remember that during the agenda review, we provided you 2 documents. The consent agenda has our increase or changes to the district-wide max. That is what you're approving on consent. This is an informational item that provides you all of the course fee changes that are within that max. So you get an informational item for every fee that is changing across the board. For all 10 colleges, but if they're within the district-wide max, they are not approved for consent. They're simply information.
Okay.
And we're not asking you to vote.
Okay. Yes.
This evening. So
I get that. Yeah.
thank you very much. And then also monitoring reports. And again, there's no vote on this either. The Budget Analysis Report Fund 1 is the general unrestricted fund for the 3 months ending 9/30/2025. Board members, are there any questions on the information presented? Okay, seeing none, we are now on to the community linkage reports. And I'm going to start with the student trustee, if I might. Ms. Smith?
Thank you, President Bittersmith. Well, I had an amazing last month of being able to meet with a few, I'll put notes down just so that way. I did a lot this month. But I was able to attend the ACCT Leadership Congress, which is an amazing opportunity for me as a student trustee to be able to meet other trustees, but also student trustees. I was also appointed as the Student Trustee Advisory Committee for ACCT. So that was an amazing, it is an amazing opportunity as well. And then I'm able to visit legislature in February to discuss student advocacy and see what else I can, bring back for our students here at Maricopa Community College on Capitol Hill. So that was a little bit of that. And then I was also able to attend the Dowdy Foundation dinner for scholars. I am a recipient of their scholarship, so I was able to attend and meet other students and other alumni of that particular amazing foundation as well for scholarships. And then I get to go home and visit my hometown of Pittsburgh, PA this weekend to spend some time with family. Go Steelers. Yay. But that is, and then I was also able to meet with a few of our Maricopa Community College presidents this past month to discuss student engagement and how I can continue to serve the student body as well. Thank you.
Thank you. What she didn't say, she tolerated the rest of the board members at the ACCT meeting and lived to tell the tale. So that's success right there. So, Ms. Butler.
Oh, thank you. I have no report.
Thank you. Ms. Davis.
Thank you, President Bittersmith. I attended the West Valley Regional Chamber Legislative Breakfast on the 16th of October. In attendance was Senator Fernandez, Representative Cupper, and Representative De Los Santos. And they did a really good job. And Jody Tass from the City of Surprise was the moderator of the discussion. Afterwards, I went up to Representative Cupper and I said to him, Maricopa still needs some state funding here. And he said, yeah, I'm supportive. And so I'm hoping that we can get that more front and center this next legislative session, although I think they're going to have a few issues on their plate to discuss. I also on the 17th went to the Blackstone Foundation meeting that gave several organizations funding, and that was good. It was attended by Senator Gallego and Mayor Gallego and Congressman Stanton and the Phoenix Chamber president, the Center for the Future of Arizona president, and then Dr. Gonzalez, and I'm missing one person and I can't think of who, ASU was there as well. So it was a great event, and there were a lot of people there, and it was good to meet up with so many different people. And then in addition, I also went to the ACCT conference, and the biggest thing for me was I got to meet our student trustee, because I have had to attend these meetings virtually the last 3 times. Next month, I'm looking forward to being there in person so that I can see everybody's smiling faces. But it was a great event, and I too learned a lot. I thought that the conference this year was exceptionally valuable. So I'm pleased that I had the opportunity to attend. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Ms. Sullivan, are you back on by chance? She's been juggling several things, so I was glad we had her for the bulk of the meeting. Ms. Smith.
Thank you. I just wanted to note, I also got to go to ACCT, and I particularly enjoyed the sessions that were about the federal landscape and federal legislation, and a session on workforce Pell, and also enjoyed the camaraderie of fellow board members. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Thor.
Thank you. On October the 16th, I attended Rio Salados College's college-wide meeting. As one of only 5 colleges nationally selected for the Reimagining Community Colleges Design Challenge with Education Design Lab, the focus of the meeting was reimagining Rio, or Rio-magining, as by exploring 5 key design questions centered around the future of workforce-aligned learning. And Dr. Jessica Lauritsen from Education Design Lab shared insights to help guide the Reimagining efforts. The event also included a dynamic panel discussion on the Learning Mobility Framework, featuring experts from Strata, the Education Design Lab, AC4, the Trusted Learner Network, and our own Vice Chancellor of Workforce, Valerie Jones. And I have to tell you, I learned a great deal at this meeting, and I look forward to seeing the results of the design challenge. On October 17th, along with Susan Bittersmith, Tom Narini, and Donna Davis, I also attended the event at South Mountain Community College, where the Blackstone Charitable Foundation announced its $3 million grant. And Donna Davis already indicated that Senator Gallego and Congressman Stanton and Mayor Gallego were there. But I would add that, as usual, they heaped praise on the Maricopa community colleges. And finally, last Thursday evening, I attended Mesa Community College's Legacy in Motion event as part of the college's celebration of its 60th anniversary. In addition to recognizing past Hall of Fame inductees, the event honored 8 community partners, including the City of Mesa, Tempe, and the East Valley Hispanic Chambers of Commerce and Mesa Public Schools. And Representative Lorena Austin attended, and as always, she offered her assistance to us with work that we need to do in the legislature. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Thor. Dr. Narini.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a busy month. On September 24th, I was part of the foundation board meeting, and I want to thank Judy again for stepping up as CEO and president of the foundation in this time. So thank you again for all your hard work and making the transition as smooth as we can. And to just again make a hint to the Heroes for Education on November 13th. Be there. It's going to be fun. October 1st, I attended the Columbia Community College Research Center's webinar on redesigning dual enrollment to support what students want. And then I was also a part of the site council meeting for the Phoenix College Prep Academy. On October 2nd, at Gateway, we had the Gecko Legacy reception, which was fun. Always a great venue out there to watch the planes come in and things. Yes. October 10th, I was at the Mesa Community College ribbon cutting for the construction trade laydown yard. So where students get a real life experience on what it's going to be like to do construction outside in Arizona. And a big shout out to Lowe's for sponsoring so much of that. And October 16th, the Aguilar Foundation had a Breakfast of Champions where they celebrated Liz Warren from South Mountain and her storytelling academy. October 17th, of course, I was at the Blackstone Foundation at South Mountain. On the 18th, Saturday, I attended the Stars Scholarship Breakfast honoring Alfredo Gutierrez that South Mountain put on as well. So that was really exceptional morning. I was also at the ACCT conference. I attended the Impact for Success, the words that we cannot speak anymore of diversity and inclusion committee. On the 27th, I was attended the as EMCC for the $300,000 check Microsoft was giving to Mesa or EMCC and Glendale for their cybersecurity and the computer program, sponsored by, well, also there was the mayors of Goodyear and El Mirage. I saw a great demonstration of the Running Man. We'll just leave it at that. And then October 3rd, though, was my favorite event, and that's what my shirt is for the Student Leadership in Retreat and Prescott, where we had 102 students from 8 of the district colleges, and Coconino College was there, where the students spent 3 days in the woods learning about themselves, learning about how to be a more effective leader. It was a really outstanding program. The only complaint I got was that there wasn't enough, more students weren't there. We need to get more students there. So a big shout out to Luis Fergaso from South Mountain, Eric Sanchez from Mesa, and Ricky Karen from Rio Salado, who were the co-coordinators of the program. And then I also want to give a big shout out to all the college team for the, shall I say, phenomenal job they've done with course fees. So, the course fees have again. I mean, we got to get used to the new format. But I think if I did the calculation right, this might have been one of the lowest increases in fees that we've seen in a long time. We've had several colleges reduce or even eliminate fees. So again, big shout out to them for doing that. That was wonderful. And finally, I just want to do a follow up on what the Glendale students said about SNAP benefits. As you know, starting Saturday, when the SNAP benefits are going to be cut, so our pantries are going to need help and support. So please offer grace to the students, because they may be hungry, because so many of our students are on SNAP benefits, and so they're going to be struggling with some of these things. So please have grace with the students and support the pantries. And as a community, we need to do what we can to help, again, support those students. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Rainey. Just a couple of new items to add. Earlier this month, I was honored to join a salon discussion, which is an old term of art for a bunch of people getting in the room to figure out if they can solve the world's problems. In this case, the topic was the future of higher ed, and it involved a number of local elected officials, a couple of mayors, a member of Congress, some legislators, and some really true education leaders. It was hosted by the current chair of Education Forward, and there will be a follow-up to that conversation. And I was pleased to be a part of that. And again, in that audience, Maricopa Community Colleges was labeled as one of those cutting-edge trends that's helping expand the network of education. So that was a great opportunity. I joined many board members at the Blackstone meeting. Like others, I was at the ACCT meeting and participated in the Public Affairs Committee component, which was actually, it was a 5-hour meeting, which is not normally what they do, but lots of conversation, as you might guess, about changing federal issues, how to deal with those. A lot of information from people in the room. It's actually one of the most productive meetings of that committee I've sat in. So that was worth the trip to do. And then on Friday of the session at 8 a.m. in the morning in New Orleans, I want you to know board members were there bright and early to present a presentation to the conference about how we pass the expenditure limit ballot proposition. I thought it was fabulous. The attendance was not overwhelming, but those that were there, that were at 8 a.m. on a Friday morning in New Orleans, were very participatory. And I appreciate Dr. Narini and Dr. Jenna for being the other members of the panel. We got good response from those that were there. Again, we could do it again. Maybe if we're in Chicago on a Wednesday, maybe we'd get a better turnout. I don't know. But it did make the point about what we're doing here in Maricopa is unique and special. And then just one final thank you again to Jordan and his team who have been dealing with technical challenges more than they asked for tonight. So thank you for doing that. With that, just a couple of quick announcements. We have an upcoming meeting. Our agenda review will not be on our normal Tuesday because that's Veterans Day next month. So it'll be Wednesday, November the 12th at 4:30. And you can join that by our WebEx streaming services. And then on November 25 is our regular board meeting back here at Rio Salado. I have no further business on our agenda. So that concludes our meeting. Thank you everyone for your time this evening. Let the record reflect that the board has adjourned this meeting at 8:35. With that, travel safely home.